The arrival. The Korthan Empire's warfleet emerged from hyperspace like a swarm of metallic locusts against the backdrop of Earth's sun. 3,000 vessels, each one a masterpiece of destruction, arranged themselves in perfect formation above the blue planet. Their hulls gleamed with energy shields that had never been breached, weapons that had reduced civilizations to ash, and the arrogance of 500 conquered worlds. Commander Zextor stood on the bridge of the flagship Dominion's edge, his 6 eyes studying the tactical displays with satisfaction. Earth floated below, seemingly defenseless, its single moon the only companion to this isolated world. No orbital platforms, no visible fleet, no planetary shields shimmering in space, just a blue and green sphere spinning quietly in the void, as if unaware that its final hours had arrived. Pathetic. Zextor's voice rumbled through his translator, addressing his bridge crew. The humans haven't even achieved proper interstellar travel. Our scouts report they still use chemical rockets for most of their space operations. This will be over before the next rotation. His tactical officer, Sub-Commander Vracknell, shifted uneasily at her station. Commander, our infiltration report suggested the humans possess unusual resilience. Perhaps we should— Resilience? Zextor laughed, a sound like grinding metal. What good is resilience against plasma bombardment? What good is determination against antimatter warheads? Send the first wave. Let's give these primitives a proper introduction to the Korthan Empire. Below on Earth, in a coffee shop in Seattle, Dr. Sarah Chen sat reading her morning newspaper. The headline screamed about the alien fleet's arrival, discovered just 3 hours ago by every major observatory on the planet. Around her, customers sipped their lattes and scrolled through their phones, occasionally glancing at the news with mild interest. Crazy, right? The barista said, gesturing at the TV screen showing grainy telescope footage of the alien fleet. Actual aliens. Sarah looked up from her paper and smiled. Yeah, wild times. Can I get another espresso double shot? Sure thing. You're not worried? Sarah shrugged. I've got a meeting at 10. Life goes on. The barista laughed nervously and went to make the coffee. On the TV, a reporter stood outside the Pentagon describing the complete lack of military mobilization. No evacuations had been ordered. No state of emergency declared. The president had released a simple statement. We are aware of the situation and monitoring it closely. High above, the first wave of Korthan attack craft descended toward Earth's atmosphere. 500 fighters, each capable of leveling a city block with a single blast. They broke through the thermosphere, their shields glowing cherry red from friction, weapons charging for the initial strike on major population centers. New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai, all targeted for simultaneous destruction to break human morale instantly. Then something strange happened. The fighters' instruments began showing impossible readings. Their altitude sensors claimed they were climbing while visual confirmation showed descent. Navigation systems spun wildly, indicating they were simultaneously in 12 different locations. Pilots reported seeing their target cities, then ocean, then mountains, then cities again, all in the span of seconds. What's happening? Screamed fighter leader Joxer over the comm. My instruments are— His transmission cut off. Not jammed, not interrupted, simply ended as if he had never existed. One by one, the 500 fighters winked out of existence. Not destroyed, not crashed, they simply weren't there anymore. The Korthan fleet's sensors could find no debris, no energy signatures, no evidence they had ever launched. Commander Zextor stared at his displays in disbelief. Where are my fighters? Unknown, Commander, Vracknell responded, her voice tight with confusion. They're gone. Gone? 500 combat vessels don't just disappear. Find them! In a small government office in Geneva, Switzerland, an old computer terminal that hadn't been upgraded since 1987 suddenly flickered to life. Its green text on black screen displayed a simple message. Threshold protocol active, monitoring. The janitor cleaning the room glanced at it, shrugged, and continued mopping. Back in space, Commander Zextor ordered a full sensor sweep of Earth. The results made no sense. The planet showed no advanced technology, no hidden weapon satellites, no energy signatures beyond basic nuclear power plants and radio transmissions. It was exactly what it appeared to be, a primitive world that had barely reached the cusp of space travel. This is impossible, he muttered. Launch the second wave. All fighters, and prepare the bombardment vessels. 2,000 fighters launched this time, followed by 50 heavy bombardment cruisers. They approached Earth's atmosphere with shields at maximum, weapons hot, every defensive system active. They crossed into the thermosphere, and once again, chaos erupted. But this time the Korthan fleet witnessed what happened. The fighters didn't disappear, they folded. Space itself bent around them, twisted like origami, and tucked them away into pockets of reality that shouldn't exist. The bombardment cruisers fired their weapons only to watch the plasma beams curve back on themselves, creating perfect loops that dissolved into nothing. One cruiser tried to retreat, but found itself flying deeper into Earth's atmosphere no matter which direction it turned. Within minutes, all 2,050 vessels were gone. No explosions, no debris, just absence. Dr. Sarah Chen finished her espresso and left the coffee shop, walking past a group of people taking selfies with the sky in the background. Someone had started selling "I Survived the Alien Invasion" t-shirts from a street cart. A food truck had already branded itself Intergalactic Tacos with a hastily painted alien on the side. She pulled out her phone and texted her colleague, "Running 5 minutes late. Traffic's weird with everyone looking up." The response came quickly, "No problem. Did you see the aliens? Yeah, pretty cool. Save me a donut." Commander Zextor was now genuinely afraid. Not of defeat. The Korthan Empire had never known defeat. He was afraid because nothing made sense. Earth wasn't fighting back. It wasn't defending itself in any conventional way. It was simply refusing to be conquered. "Sir," Bracknell said quietly, "I'm detecting something. Not from Earth, but around it. The space itself feels watched." "Watched? By what?" "I don't know, sir, but our hyperspace drives are failing. We can't leave." The commander's 6 eyes widened. He turned to the communication station. "Send a message to Earth. Demand their surrender." The message was sent on every frequency in every known language, even in basic mathematical concepts. The response came not from any government or military installation, but from a small radio station in rural Montana, where a teenager doing the night shift had figured out how to bounce a signal off the alien fleet. "New phone, who dis?" The Korthan bridge crew didn't understand the message, but the tone was clear. Earth wasn't afraid. Earth wasn't even particularly interested. As the Korthan fleet hung helplessly in space, unable to attack and unable to leave, cities below continued their daily routine. Rush hour traffic clogged highways. Schools remained in session. Stock markets fluctuated based on speculation about potential alien technology trades. Someone started a viral petition to name the alien fleet Space Friends as a joke. The war for Earth had lasted exactly 4 hours and 17 minutes, and humanity had won without firing a single shot, without mobilizing a single soldier, without even interrupting their morning coffee. Because Earth had learned something long ago, something written in no history book, stored in no database, known only to the planet itself and the quiet systems that had watched over it since humanity first looked up at the stars. The best defense isn't to fight back, it's to make fighting you impossible. The response commander Zextor stood before his assembled senior staff, his 6 eyes bloodshot from 20 hours of continuous analysis. The tactical displays showed the same impossible data. 3,000 Korthan vessels trapped in Earth orbit, unable to advance or retreat, while the planet below continued its routine as if an alien armada was nothing more than unusual weather. "Options," he demanded, his voice strained. Chief Science Officer Helixar projected a hologram of Earth surrounded by invisible geometric patterns. "Commander, I've identified what's happening, but you won't like it. Earth isn't defended by technology. It's defended by physics itself. The planet has somehow made itself a null point in space-time. Any aggressive action toward it gets redirected into nowhere. That's impossible. Physics doesn't choose sides." "No," Helixar agreed, "but someone who understands physics better than us might make it seem that way." Meanwhile, in an underground facility that didn't officially exist, located beneath an abandoned mine in Colorado, Captain Marcus Rodriguez of the United Earth Defense Initiative sat in a chair that looked like it belonged in a dentist's office from the 1960s. Wires connected his neural implant to a computer system older than most countries. "Morning, Mother," he said to the empty room. The response came not as words, but as pure understanding flooding his mind. The system, codenamed Mother Earth by its creators in 1969, had been humanity's guardian since before humans knew they needed guarding. It wasn't AI in any conventional sense. It was something far stranger. A living algorithm that existed in the quantum foam around Earth, feeding on the planet's magnetic field, growing stronger with every passing year. The Korthans are getting restless, Marcus noted. They're preparing something big. Mother Earth showed him. The Korthan fleet was channeling all power to their flagship, preparing to fire a planet cracker weapon, a device that could split Earth in half. It would take another 10 hours to charge, but once fired, even Mother Earth might not be able to stop it. Guess it's time for Phase 2, Marcus said, stretching. Wake up the others. Around the world, in seemingly random locations, 12 other humans sat in similar chairs in similar forgotten facilities. A grandmother in Japan, a street vendor in Cairo, a fisherman in Norway, a teacher in Brazil, each one connected to Mother Earth, each one chosen not for their military prowess or scientific knowledge, but for something far more important, their ability to remain calm while reality bent around them. Back on the Korthan flagship, Sub-Commander Vraknell noticed something odd on her sensors. Commander, I'm detecting energy signatures from Earth. 13 points evenly distributed. Sir, they're not using any technology we recognize. The energy is biological. Biological? That's even more primitive than we thought. No, sir. I mean, the humans themselves are the energy source. They're broadcasting something. Commander Zextor was about to respond when every screen on every Korthan ship displayed the same image. An elderly human woman, possibly Japanese, sitting in what appeared to be a garden, calmly arranging flowers. Hello, she said in perfect Korthan, though her lips moved in a different pattern. My name is Yamada Yuki. I am speaking to you through the global defense consciousness you've accidentally awakened. We should talk. This is Commander Zextor of the Korthan Empire. You will surrender immediately or— Commander, Yuki interrupted gently like a grandmother correcting a child. You're going to threaten us with your planet cracker weapon. We know. We've known since you started charging it. But before you do that, perhaps you should know what Earth really is. The screens changed, showing images from across the galaxy. Dead worlds, burned civilizations, species extinct or enslaved. All conquests of the Korthan Empire. You see conquest, Yuki continued. We see tragedy. You see weakness to exploit. We see potential friends we'll never meet. This is why Earth developed the Threshold Protocol. What protocol? Zextor demanded, but his voice had lost its edge. 40 years ago, when we detected the first signs of interstellar civilization, we had a choice. Build warships and join the cycle of violence or find another way. We chose another way. Every nation on Earth in secret contributed to a single project, making our world impossible to attack. Captain Marcus Rodriguez's voice joined the transmission, though his image didn't appear. We studied every form of warfare in the galaxy. Plasma weapons, antimatter bombs, relativistic kill vehicles, even more exotic things. And we realized something, they all rely on cause and effect. Push here, destruction there. So we broke the chain. That's impossible, Chief Science Officer Helixar protested. Causality is fundamental to normal space, Marcus agreed. But Earth isn't in normal space anymore. Hasn't been for 30 years. We're 1 millimeter out of phase with standard reality. Close enough to interact, too far to attack. Your weapons, your fighters, they didn't disappear. They're in the gap between real and not real, waiting to be retrieved once you leave. Ambassador Threx, who had remained silent throughout the crisis, finally spoke. You could have conquered the galaxy with this technology. Why? Yuki asked simply. We have a beautiful planet, good coffee, decent internet most days. What would conquering others give us that we don't already have? The tactical displays on the Korthan ships began showing something new. Other vessels approaching Earth's system. Not warships, cargo haulers, science vessels, diplomatic cruisers. Species the Korthans had conquered, enslaved, or destroyed were arriving to witness this moment. You see, Yuki continued, arranging another flower in her vase. Earth's protection isn't just the protocol. It's the message we've been broadcasting for 40 years. Hidden in our radio signals, our internet traffic, even our music. A simple message, if you come in peace, you're welcome. If you come in war, you'll be confused. And now, Marcus added, the galaxy knows that there's a place where war simply doesn't work. Where the only option is peace. Your empire, Commander, was built on the threat of force. What happens when force becomes irrelevant? Commander Zextor looked at his displays showing the gathering fleet of former victims, all approaching Earth peacefully. all being allowed through the protocol without incident. He understood. Earth hadn't just defeated the Korthan Empire. It had made their entire way of life obsolete. "The planet cracker," he said quietly. "Even if we fire it, it'll make a pretty light show," Marcus said. "We'll probably sell tickets. The aurora should be visible from both hemispheres." For the first time in Korthan history, a commander of the Empire laughed at his own defeat. It started as a low rumble, then grew into something that sounded almost like joy. "Stand down all weapons," Zexter ordered. "Prepare for diplomatic contact, sir?" Bracknell asked, confused. "Don't you see?" Zexter turned to his crew. "We've spent centuries perfecting war, and they've made war irrelevant. We've conquered worlds through fear, and they've conquered us through indifference. We came here to add Earth to our empire, but instead, I think we've just been added to theirs." On Earth, the news that the alien fleet had surrendered was met with mild interest. Coffee shops offered peace day discounts. The stock market went up 3 points. Someone updated the Wikipedia page for alien invasions to include the event, marking it as status resolved. Dr. Sarah Chen finally made it to her meeting, where her colleagues were discussing the implications of alien contact on their research into quantum mechanics. "Think they'll share their technology?" someone asked. Sarah shrugged. "Probably. But I bet ours is weirder." And she was right. Within 6 months, Korthan scientists would be scratching their heads at human physics textbooks, wondering how a species that still used fossil fuels had figured out how to hide an entire planet in a quantum pocket. The answer, which they'd never quite understand, was simple. Humans had been practicing ignoring reality since the first person looked at an impossible situation and said, "Hey, I've seen worse." The war for Earth ended not with a bang, not with a whimper, but with a collective shrug from 8 billion humans who had better things to do than be conquered. The galaxy would never be the same. And somewhere in that underground facility, Captain Marcus Rodriguez, disconnected from Mother Earth, stood up and went to get a sandwich. "Same time next invasion?" he asked the empty room. The response came as a feeling of cosmic amusement. Earth would be ready. Earth was always ready, not for war, but for the moment when someone realized that fighting them was like punching water. Possible, but ultimately pointless. The age of galactic peace had begun, not through treaties or force, but through humanity's greatest weapon. Weaponized apathy backed by impossible science. And in that coffee shop in Seattle, the barista had already designed new merchandise. "I ignored an alien invasion and all I got was this stupid t-shirt. It sold out in 3 days.